I used to be a private eye. What's going on, guys? Josh here from Brothers Green. Hope you're all doing well. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. We enjoy you. Please subscribe if you'd like. And if you haven't, I have kind of a crazy story I want to tell you about the first job I ever had in New York City. And that's right, you read the title right. This is not a lie. I was a private investigator. I used to follow people around for a living. For an entire year, I had this job. So I want to give you a background about the job and some crazy things that happened to me. I'm going to tell a few stories, and if the series goes well, maybe do a few more. And I'm also going to cook something similar to some of the stuff that I used to make, because most of the day I was stuck in my car and I had to either go out and buy food or bring a lunch or cook stuff in my car. So I'm not really going to be doing any flame cooking, but just preparing some really cool deliciousness. So how did I get this job, you're probably wondering. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out myself. I had no qualifications. I graduated from college with a marketing degree and moved to New York City with my band to pursue music. First 6 months to a year, I decided just to live on savings and work on music, but the money ran out very fast. So I had heard through a friend of a friend that they were looking for people to do this investigation work, and it sounded pretty awesome. It paid really well, paid hourly, plus every mile you drove you get like 50 cents. And they were very flexible with the schedule. So like for me, it was all about music was my first thing, so I needed to have a job that was cool with me going to practice and taking off for shows and things like that. So they were cool, and the only requirements they had were basically you needed to have a car that you owned, and you need to be able to pee in a bottle. And yes, that was pretty much it. There was no interview process. I just said, cool, I'm gonna do it. And they sent me a case file. And the next day I had to show up at someone's house and basically start following them. So I would get this case file, and every time it was different, and I would have the person's name, address, the reason I was following them, and whatever they knew about them, because sometimes they wouldn't know where these people lived. Sometimes like they had their house, but they'd never seen them before, because a lot of people were like maybe on injury disability and they were faking injuries and things like that, so we had to follow them around, and the whole goal for me was, okay, here's who they are, here's what they did. Your only objective is to follow them around, not lose any track of them, and write down and videotape every single thing that they did. So on the first day on the job, I arrive at this location kind of by the house, but I meet my partner for the day, because you pretty much always had a partner. And so I would meet this partner, and he gave me a walkie-talkie, he gave me a notepad, and a really nice camera with a bunch of cards and batteries and stuff. And he said, okay, you park over here, and we're just gonna wait. And if the person comes out, I'll follow them first, and you kind of go behind me, and then we'll sort of play leapfrog. And that was my training. I literally learned on the job. The very first day I was following someone around, which still kind of blows me away. You'd think with a private investigator, the company had licensed, and I had my own private investigation license, but I really thought there'd be more training involved. It was a lot of learning on the job, and that was crazy. So after a few days of work, they ended up taking my car. They tinted my car, so I had completely limo tints, except for the front, but limo tints around my car. So I would sit. What I would do is I would have the two front up, and I had them up like at first I had a Subaru, and then I totaled that, and then I had this Toyota Matrix, so much smaller cars. But I would sit in the back, and I would put a blanket over the front two seats, so you couldn't see me looking forward, and then all the back was completely pitch dark, so no one at all could see in. And then we would start following people. So I'm gonna start making a little something, because I'm actually hungry today, and I'm gonna keep kind of telling you guys some crazy stories. I don't want to give too many away just now, but if you are someone who is interested in private investigation work, it's definitely a thrill. There was definitely some things that happened to me that were pretty scary. Sometimes I felt like James Bond, and I could like do anything and speed and fly and climb trees and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And other days it was just kind of sitting in your car all day and just waiting for something to happen. Sometimes you'd be sitting in your car for 7 hours, and the thing is you couldn't really keep your car on, and the winter got super cold and I had a blanket, but the summer, it was like strip poker. Basically every hour I'm taking off another article of clothing because it got so hot. Imagine being inside your car, windows open, no air conditioning on, and the sun's just beating down on you, and you just have to sit there. So it got intense. Too hot. And a lot of days you're just sitting in your car for 6-7 hours just waiting for something to happen. If nothing happens, you go home. If something happens, all of a sudden you're in this high-speed chase So it's like very like sit and wait, and then like, oh god, jump in the car, fly away. So that was crazy. That was fun. But I did a lot of writing in my car. That was when I first really got into writing and journaling. Changed my life. Did a lot of reading. I'd bring my guitar sometimes. Private eyes watching you. They see your every move. Private eyes watching you. Private eyes watching you. Woo. I'd bring food. I would make these like, little food parties. So that was always fun. So what I thought would be kind of a cool thing to make, I obviously, if you haven't seen the show, I love sandwiches. I eat a lot of different food, but I do love me a good sandwich. So I kind of wanted to make a cool take on a chicken salad. But I also I love egg salad and I love chicken salad, and I never see them together. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The truth is I don't really care because they're both delicious. So what I thought I would do is make a chicken and the egg sandwich for you guys. So oftentimes when I was on my job, I'd have to stop at the market ahead of time, or maybe I could take a quick break and go to the bathroom and just pick up stuff at the market. So that would mean getting things like this, like a rotisserie chicken, a lot of already cooked stuff that I could sort of assemble. And I would have my knife, a couple just really simple stuff. Obviously I'm not trying to create a whole kitchen here, but I had little dime bag salt and pepper, and knife, fork, spoon, and scissors are great. So if you are someone who is interested in cooking more simple, I'm going to show you that you can make amazing stuff literally in your car. A lot of people live out of their car. Maybe they have a camper and they have their little kitchen set up, but some people don't have a kitchen. And for me, cooking is all about inclusion, making you feel included, making you feel like, you know what, I can do that too. If this guy's cooking something in his car, then I have no excuses. All right, so what I thought would be kind of fun is I've got some avocado here, and usually with a chicken salad, you would do some sort of, mayo or whatever. But I don't know, mayo, listen, I appreciate mayo, and it's made from eggs too, which is cool. But I thought it'd be really delicious to use avocado and actually a little bit of yogurt. So I'm just gonna squeeze this out. This is my favorite method that no one ever does. It's like everyone always has the same, the same standard method, cut it in half, scoop it out. But I just like the squeeze because it kind of mashes it up for you. And one thing that's good to have when you're in your car, a nice little rag, of course that helps. If you get dirty, I kind of hang this off the side here. You guys can't see my entire car, but you can see enough. Making avocado. So while you're watching this, comment below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the fact that, not just that I was a private investigator, but what are your thoughts on private investigation? There's a lot of mystery behind it. Ironically, when I was a private investigator, this show came out, and it was called, what was it called? Jason Schwartzman. It was some private investigation show, Bored to Death. And I remember people were raving about that show. Zach Galifianakis, I can't even say his name right now. I don't even know why. I'm tripping out. Zach Galifianakis, whatever. Jason Schwartzman, Ted Danson, and Jason Schwartzman was this PI, and they would smoke in their car, and he would go on all these chases. And people loved that show, and I'm not saying it wasn't a good show, but I couldn't watch it because it was so unrealistic. I was like, I don't follow someone around and then sleep with them after. There was all these sort of romanticized ideas of private investigator, but the truth is things don't happen extremely quickly. They take time. Sometimes you're on a case for weeks and you're just waiting to see one person. We had this one person who honestly no one had ever seen them, and I had to go into this courthouse and kind of slip in, sneak in, and wait for their name to be called. And because there's a lot of improv on the job, sometimes you had to get out on your feet. Usually you'd have a partner, and you would show up somewhere, and if one guy got out and got to the subway, one person would have to get out, follow them onto the subway, and then your partner would meet you wherever you end up, and you would never know where you're going to go. I had days where I would drive for hours following someone around and end up on the beach in New Jersey, and just have to be well, I'm here now. And there'd be other days where I would just sit and someone would be playing in their yard and I would capture all kinds of footage. I did get caught a few times. I got spotted. Not fun. Sometimes people would pull up to my car and be like, I know you're following me, get out of here. And I just had to play dumb, be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Other times I'd have like police officers come up to me, and because people call the cops on us all the time. If you're sitting like in the city, nobody notices, but if you're in the suburbs, sometimes we go out to Long Island, and like there's people sitting home all day and they're a little more paranoid, and they see this car with tinted windows outside their house, they'll call the cops, and the cop would come up, and I have to explain to them. And some cops were cool and they got it, other cops were like, give you a hard time, like, get out of the vehicle, what do you mean you're not going to tell me what you're doing, things like that. So we did a lot of a lot of different cases. We did there was some drug related stuff. We did the one thing people ask is like, oh, do you follow around like cheating husbands? And that was the one thing we didn't do. Like I said, a lot of it was people that were on disability faking stuff. Because the thing is, if you're on disability and say you hurt your leg and you can't work, they're paying you a good chunk of money to not work. And some people will get really comfortable with that, and they say, I'm just going to keep doing this, and they'll be faking it 3-4 years go by, and they're getting paid a lot of the money of their salary to not do anything. So we'd have to go and find them at doctor's offices, and just I didn't claim or say or do anything. My job was just to capture. So once I captured the footage and handed it in, I have no idea what would happen to the people, if they got caught or whatever. I just handed it in, did my job. Just a lemon's gonna go in here. So I got salt, pepper, lemon, avocado, and a little Greek yogurt just to go in. This is gonna be like the base. And even just that on its own is freaking delicious. So some other things. I definitely an adventurous side came out of me that I didn't expect. I was pretty ballsy. I had a couple experiences where I did some things that were, looking back, I'm like, I cannot believe I did that. And I'm not gonna, there's a couple of incredible stories. And luckily, so I wasn't gonna share this. I've been wanting to talk to you guys about this for a long time, and I actually was not gonna share this, but I reached out to my boss, my old boss from this job, and I was like, I should probably ask you first, is this okay? And he's like, yeah, go for it. As long as you don't share any names or any specific details, go for it. So I feel much better about talking about it now, because I was like, is this illegal? Okay, so I'm gonna take some celery. This is actually celery I just picked from my garden, and just kind of snip it off. Again, great scissors, amazing. And when you have a lot of time in your car, you gotta make up hobbies. I used to write songs. Secret agent man, secret agent man, you gotta look inside your window and look as fast as you can. I would write short stories. I would, work on band emails and all kinds of stuff, because you're just sitting there and you can lose your mind. One thing, so a lot of people drank coffee, and I think coffee is something that people tend to develop after school, after college. I'm not saying people don't before, but I think a lot of people after college, when they start getting into the workforce, that's when coffee starts sort of, taking over people's lives a little bit. And I had to make a choice, because I was not a coffee drinker ever. A little pepper from my garden too, snip that in there, snibby dibby. I had to make a choice, and I said, I can either commit to being a coffee person and every morning wake up like a lot of my the guys I worked with and get my coffee, do my little coffee game, and that would be that. Or I can just not and just hope I stay awake. So the other thing is, a lot of days we had to be up super early. So typically you had to be at someone's house before they would leave for work. So that meant being at someone's house usually around 6 a.m. and basically like being ready in case they left, because people usually leave from work around 6:30, 7:30, 8. So I'd have to wake up at like 5 a.m. and so it was a lot of really early mornings. I would get off early. I'd be done usually by 3 o'clock. But it was, living in Brooklyn, partying it up. It was some very, very tired mornings. I'll show you guys this a little here. Yeah, look at that. Just kind of mix that in. You got some peppers, got some celery. Celery adds that nice crunch. Just kind of mix that around in there. Got my hard-boiled eggs here. So a lot of mornings were super early, and I would show up and I'd be really tired. And what I'm about to tell you is stupid. I've learned a lot since then, and I do not claim that you should do anything like this, but I made an executive decision. Instead of getting addicted to coffee and drinking coffee to stay awake in the morning, I would this is so dumb. I would set my alarm for 1 minute, and I would fall asleep. Now this could happen 30, 40 times, and I would be here asleep, my alarm would go off, and I would turn it off, and the alarm would go off, and and I would just hope that the person didn't leave. And sometimes I'd wake up and their car would be gone. I'd be like, oh my God, and I'd jump in and, whatever. It depended. Sometimes if I didn't have eyes on the house, because usually either you or your partner would have eyes on the house. So if I didn't have eyes on the house, then it was a little easier to sleep. But if I did, it was my responsibility. So I devised this technique to wake up. And usually after 30, 40 minutes of that, like, you're just so tripped out, you're not going to go back to sleep. But it was stupid because I was in my car, falling asleep, trying to follow people. And I would have some really crazy dreams. I'd have dreams of people breaking into my car. I would have dreams of people trying to attack me, and I have dreams of like following people, and all these crazy things would go on while I was sleeping. So here go. I found these hard-boiled eggs. You can pretty much always buy already peeled hard-boiled eggs. Kind of genius. And so anyhow, that was something I do not recommend. But sleeping, that was just my way. And eventually, I would hit a point, like I said, where I wouldn't be tired anymore. But it would take some time, and I did lose a couple people, and that was a bad feeling when you get someone's house and you miss them and they're gone, because it was my job to not lose anybody. But I also we work in a lot of bad neighborhoods, and here I am, this little like sort of hipster musician dude with a mohawk trying to blend in. So anytime I had to get out of my car, it's a little bit obvious, but I did learn something amazing. That's just in general. So first off, New York City, people ask me like, is it hard not to get spotted? And like I said, when you're in Long Island or somewhere like more suburban, it can be really challenging. But New York City, people are so consumed. Just kind of mix the egg around in there. People are so consumed in their own world, they're not even noticing. They have no idea. So like, it was so much easier to, I'm just gonna add one more egg. It's so much easier to just not get spotted when you're in the city, because people are just freaking oblivious. However, like I said, other places was different. But I did learn one thing. It's been a skill that has been helpful to me in different areas that I didn't expect since then. But if you are acting shady, no matter where you are, people are gonna think you're shady, right? So if like I'm in a bad neighborhood and I clearly don't fit in and it's like pretty obvious, if I'm sort of like being weird and shady and like trying to hide, people are gonna find out. However, if you don't act weird and you just like chill, like I'd go on the street and people would look at me and be like, hey, like when you wave to people and you're friendly and nice, no one notices that anything is weird. So that's just, I don't know how that's gonna help you in your life, but it might just be a little bit of a tip. Let's see, I love egg salad. You can salt the crap out of this stuff. More salt. Okay. So that's just a little bit of a tip. So let's talk about one or two incidents that happened to me on the job that were crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I can't believe I'm really even sharing these things. I've only shared them with close friends. So about a month into my work, chicken head. Get some chicken here. About a month into my job, I was working in the Bronx, and there's some good areas in the Bronx, but it's also can be pretty, intense. So I'm working on this one job, and this one area was not a good area at all. It was pretty run down, you could say. And this guy, so I had my tinted windows on, and I had a little navigation GPS in the front, like kind of hooked up to my window. And there was this dude, and he walked by my car, and he kind of looks in my car, and he's like looking, he doesn't know I'm in there. He's like looking in the car, looking at the window, and just kind of standing by my car. And my heart's starting to race a little bit. And I was new to this job, right? I didn't have any protection, no gun, no nothing. Just a sitting duck in the back of my car. And he walks away, and I'm like, okay, good. Whew. Like heart's just like, chills out a little bit. About 10 minutes later, he walks right back up to my car, and now he's just standing next to my front window, and I'm in the back, with my little blanket kind of covering me, and he's standing there kind of looking around, and all of a sudden, I see his hand go like this, and then boom, smacks my window. Window shatters, but it's got tinted windows on it, so it's shattered completely, spidered out. but it's all stuck together, so it didn't like fly through the window because of the tint, right? So my heart is like, oh my God, like in my head, like, oh my God, holy crap, he just broke my freaking window. Holy crap, this guy just broke my window. So I took my keys and a split-second decision, jump in the front seat, jump, get him in, and fly off. And thank God I was not parallel parked. I would have been screwed, but I was the last spot in this whole thing of cars. And I flew off and took off, and my partner like beat me. He's like, what's going on, what's going on? I was like, that guy broke my window, he broke my window. And he's like, I'm gonna go get him, I'm gonna go like get some footage of him, whatever. So he goes and he gets some footage of the guy. And I'm just driving like a maniac, like freaking out, heart racing, but also kind of like laughing. Like, that was crazy. That guy literally just smashed my window, tried to steal my GPS. So I find this cop car, and I'm like beeping, beep, like beep, 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 like pull over, like telling the cop car to pull over, which I'm sure they're not used to. And and I'm like, pull over, and I get out of the opposite side because I couldn't get out of this side or the glass would shatter all over me. I'm like, officer, like, oh my God, this guy just broke my window. Like, I was in the car, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I was like a private investigator. I was following someone else in the neighborhood, and this guy smashed my window and tried to break into my car. What can I do? Thinking like, of course, you know, this officer is gonna like go try and get him because my partner was like, I got eyes on him. You know, I got some video footage of him. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And he's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, go get a new window. I was like, what? Get a new window? He's like, yeah. He's like, what am I supposed to do? I was like, this is the Bronx. So just to show you the fact that like I literally, I was in such a neighborhood where this guy basically tried to break into my car and steal something, and the police officers were like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. So just kind of a wild story. And that story, we ended up not doing anything about it. I just went home and my company paid for a new window. Freaked the crap out of my parents first month in the job, because they were already like pretty freaked out that I was doing this job. Oh, I know. These little packets of mustard. So they give these out at different markets. So I'd always, whenever I would go in the PI job, I would collect, if I went to like Dunkin' Donuts or wherever I'd go, I would collect different packets of stuff. So this is some Sir Kensington's mustard. Little yellow mustard in there, get a little spice. You could also carry around a little chili powder. I used to do that sometimes. So anyhow, that story was crazy, and if I'm being totally honest, it created this sort of fear when I would go into bad neighborhoods. Like, I ended up getting mace, and mace, I don't know if it was a smart decision, because I ended up like only macing myself once, basically. Like, I tried it like at the beach, which was really stupid, and it sprayed back in my face. Not terrible, but it was disgusting. But I don't know, I gotta say, it was, it created this paranoia within me. So I felt like I was just sitting duck, and I'd be in my car, and I would just get scared. Chicken egg salad, wow. That's the true combo. So for the rest of the job, there were days that were great, and then there were days that I'd be in the back of my car, and anytime someone drove by, I'd be like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Get my mace out, you know, and get kind of paranoid. The problem with fear is it kind of breeds more fear. But one of the great lessons that I did learn from that experience, that I feel kind of blessed to have sort of walked away with, is that, you know, when I started telling people about it, they were like, oh, that's disgusting. How could someone like try to steal? I think it's so terrible that people do that, and this, that, and the other thing. And I would just say, you know what? Like, I actually have a lot of compassion for that person. And at the time, I was getting into Buddhism. I was studying Buddhism and practicing a lot. And it kind of, ironically, I was like this Buddhist private investigator. I know that's really weird, musician guy. But I was practicing a lot of like compassion and seeing things like from a whole perspective, not just my own little egotistical state. And one of the biggest things that I took away was like the fact that this guy is living a life where he actually has to like put himself in a position to steal things from people to get money and to get food or whatever it was. Like, that's awful, you know. And I'm fortunate enough to have a job and, you know, a place to live and all these things. I don't need to judge him, even though it was scary. He's doing what he needs to do to survive. So, just a little tidbit: if you're in a situation and you feel like someone's doing something that's, you know, a no-no, or that's really bad or wrong or whatever, just try to put yourself in their shoes and just see what happens. That's how we create empathy in our lives. Okay, so I'm just gonna slice up a couple things and finish up this sandwich. Okay, I was gonna get a little creme brulee torch to kind of like toast the bread, but I forgot. It's okay. Okay, a couple of cucumbers, and then I'm gonna just take a couple slices of little garden fresh tomatoes here. A couple of slices of this. Okay, maybe one more. One more time, everybody. One more time. Be careful about things that are a little more, you know, liquidy, I would say. Let's see, I got my little plate here. Okay, bread. Get some different options. Let's see. Make sure we're all, yeah, we're still recording. I got this roll here. Could be really nice. This roll, I don't think that's the right roll. And then I got this bread. This is some kind of loaf. Artisanal Kalamata olive bread. Oh, that sounds cool. Maybe we'll go for that. Why not? Alright, get the biggest slices in the middle. Okay, put that down. You know, when you are cooking in your car, it's good to be a little more organized, right? Okay, so first that goes down. I got some cheese. And I thought it'd be fun. I'm gonna do pepper jack because it's spicy, so I don't have to really worry about spices much. Although I do have a little hot sauce in my car in case I felt like adding a little hot sauce. Okay, so some pepper jack goes down. Just one nice big slice. Beautiful. I will deal with cleaning you guys later. Normally, if I wasn't shooting a video, I might be even more organized, but like I said, shooting a video, not as concerned right now. I just want to show you guys the food, give you guys a bit of a story. That is going to spill. That is silly. Silly nation. Okay, so let's get this here. Load up my sandwich with the chicken or the egg salad, as they call it. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Can it be both? Can't they come at the exact same time? Okay, give myself another little taste, make sure it's good. Making chicken and egg salad is great because you just kind of keep tasting it, you know, until it feels like something that you might appreciate. Okay, boom. That goes there. Add some of these. A couple of cukes. Cukes for the name. I do have a little bit of lettuce, if I can find it. Let us find you. Let us find you. Here we go. Boom. And look at that. Salads. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, let's see if I can get a little something on there. Get a little something. Oh yeah, look at that sandwich. I know Mike's on the sandwich series, you know, so Mike, you can be the judge of that. I know that's not a fully homemade sandwich, but it's something, and I cooked in my car. And it's also one of my favorite just go-to sandwiches. Check that out. Check it out. Okay, give this guy a little bite. This is my lunch. I guess one thing is the PI in his car. I never got this elaborate. I make sandwiches and stuff, but I wanted to show you guys a little something because truth is, if right now my person, my target, whatever you're gonna call him, came out of the house, I would kind of be screwed. Because if I had to jump in the front seat right now with all this stuff everywhere and try to take off, it would be a problem. But again, you know, it's a few people out there, I'm sure, are private eyes. Hey, maybe this becomes a big video for private eyes that want to cook in their car, but that wasn't the purpose of it. If enough people give this a thumbs up and request it, I'll do more of these and share a couple other stories. I have about 3 or so other, I have a lot of stories, but there were like 2 or 3 insane stories. However, if you want to hear those in detail, I'm gonna do a podcast about it, so click below. You can check my podcast, You Enjoy Life, on Spotify, and I'll share one of the most insane stories and things that ever happened to me while being a PI. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new, subscribe. If you're not new, hit the, like they say, hit the notification button so you actually see what's going on. That would be awesome. And otherwise, it's been real. It's been great chatting with you. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope maybe it was inspiring in some way. Either way, much love, peace out, and we'll chat soon.